In the distant future, Earth had become a bustling hub of interstellar trade and exploration. Humanity had made contact with countless alien species, but none were as mysterious as the Daevans, an ancient race known for their mastery of summoning and magic. Jake Reynolds, a young aerospace engineer, had never believed in magic. He lived a simple life on a colony ship orbiting a distant star. But that all changed one morning when he woke up somewhere else. Jake opened his eyes to find himself standing in a vast, circular chamber. The walls were covered in glowing, alien runes, and a blue mist floated in the air. The floor was a mosaic of symbols that pulsed with energy. A towering figure stood before him, an 8-foot-tall Daevan with dark, scaled skin and 4 glowing eyes. Its long, flowing robes shimmered with ethereal light, and its clawed hands were raised as if casting a spell. "Human," the creature said, its voice deep and resonant. "I am Varish, summoner of the Daevan High Council. You have been chosen." "Chosen?" Jake's voice cracked. He took a step back, trying to understand what was happening. "Chosen for what?" "You are now my familiar," Varish declared, as if it were the most natural thing in the universe. Jake blinked. "Familiar, you mean, like a pet?" Varish tilted its head. "Not a pet. A servant. You will aid me in my quests and defend me when called upon." Jake felt his heart racing. There's been a mistake. "I'm not some magical warrior, I'm an engineer." The Daevan's eyes narrowed. "You do not have a choice." Before Jake could protest, the runes on the floor flared to life. Energy surged through his body, binding him to Varish. A glowing mark appeared on Jake's right hand, a symbol of his new bond. "Your training begins now," Varish said. The next few days were a blur. Jake was thrown into intense training sessions, learning how to channel the strange energy of the bond. Varish pushed him relentlessly, expecting him to master combat techniques and spell resistance in record time. But Jake struggled. He couldn't summon fireballs or deflect magical attacks. His human body wasn't built for this kind of power. "You are weak," Varish said after another failed session. "Perhaps humans truly are inferior familiars." Jake clenched his fists. He was tired of being underestimated. "Maybe you're the problem," he shot back. "You don't even know how to train me." For the first time, Varish seemed taken aback. "Explain," the Daevan said. Jake thought for a moment. "I can't use magic. But I can think. I can improvise." He glanced at the training dummies. "Give me a day. I'll show you what humans are capable of." Varish's eyes gleamed with curiosity. "Very well. One day. The next morning, Varish returned to the training chamber to find Jake waiting with a strange contraption. It was a crude energy cannon, built from scraps he had scavenged overnight. "What is this?" Varish asked. "My solution," Jake replied. He aimed the cannon at a training dummy and fired. A burst of energy struck the target, vaporizing it instantly. Varish stared, impressed despite himself. "You built this?" Jake nodded. "If I can't use magic, I'll use technology." The Daevan's expression softened. "Perhaps, humans are more adaptable than I thought." But before Varish could say more, the chamber shook violently. Alarms blared, and a bright light filled the room. "We're under attack," Varish said grimly. Jake felt a surge of adrenaline. "Then let us show them what humans and Daevans can do together." The attack came without warning. A rival Daevan summoner named Zarek had launched an assault, seeking to overthrow Varish and claim his place on the High Council. Zurich's forces stormed the chamber, hulking, magical beasts with glowing eyes and razor-sharp claws. Jake and Varish were outnumbered 10-1. Varish summoned a shield of energy, deflecting the first wave of attacks. "Stay behind me," he ordered. Jake shook his head. "No. We fight together." He activated his makeshift energy cannon, blasting several beasts before they could reach the shield. The creatures recoiled, snarling in frustration. "You've improved," Varish admitted. Jake smirked. "Told you humans are adaptable." But Zurich wasn't finished. He stepped forward, his dark robe swirling with malevolent energy. "Surrender, Varish. You cannot win." Varish growled. "I will never bow to you, Zurich." Zurich raised his hands, preparing to unleash a devastating spell. But just as the energy built to its peak, one of Varish's own guards stepped forward, an ally turned traitor. The guard drove a spear of dark energy into Varish's back. The Daevan cried out in pain, collapsing to the ground. "No!" Jake shouted. Zurich laughed. "Your master is defeated. And you, human, are worthless without him." Jake's mind raced. He was no magical warrior, but he was an engineer, a problem solver. And he still had one trick up his sleeve. He dropped to Varish's side. "Can you still summon energy?" Varish winced. "Barely." "Then give me everything you've got," Jake said. "Trust me." Varish hesitated, then placed a trembling hand on Jake's shoulder. Energy surged between them, raw and unstable. Jake redirected the power into his cannon, overloading it beyond its limits. "Hey, Zurich!" Jake called. The rival summoner turned just as Jake fired. The blast wasn't just energy, it was a fusion of technology and magic, more powerful than anything either side had seen before. Zurich's shield shattered, and he was thrown across the chamber. His forces retreated in shock. Jake collapsed beside Varish, exhausted but alive. "You saved me," Varish said. Jake grinned weakly. "Told you humans don't make good familiars." Varish chuckled. "No. But they make excellent partners." As the chamber fell silent, a new bond had been forged, one built not on servitude, but on trust. And their story was just beginning.